Greg Hutcherson is the father of some very talented boys, but Greg Hutcherson is also somebody that I know from a distance who's always been very good to me. And so I want to make this public because I already have, and I did this through social media. All right, Greg's got a son, 15 years old. He's a freshman in high school. They're out on the East Coast. He enters the son in a college tournament. It was his son's first ever college tournament, and all that means is it's called an open. It's an open that then gets attended by colleges, but open means anybody can come. It is open to anybody to come. All right. So it's not very common that you would enter a high school kid, but it does happen. Now, a high school freshman, I must tell you, I've never heard of that. And it's not to say that the Dave Schultz and Kerry Kolotz of the world didn't go and do it, but I haven't heard of it. That's a little young. And he enters his son, 17 guys show up. His son ends up fourth. That's a damn good day. That is a very impressive young man who, before he gets that little bit older maturity, just that strength alone, could put his foot on the line against somebody who's shaving, right? And all of a sudden deal with him, let alone beat him. But, and Greg's whole reason for doing it is his son is a wolf and he's hunting wolves. So they're looking for the best competition. Now, I just want to address this, okay? Because, and I told Greg publicly, I said, Greg, let me read it to you what I said. So Greg states that Mario wrestles. That was the part I told you. And I said, hey, Greg, be careful with that. Competing outside of your level. And again, that's where I talked about the word open. Open means anybody. But otherwise, you have levels. You'll have college kids. You'll have junior college kids. You'll have high school. You'll have junior high. You'll have cadets. You'll have a small age range aside from an open. So I let him know, competing outside of your level seems like a good theory, but you're going to have a really hard time showing me an example of somebody that did that. If you can be king of your group, go enjoy your throne. Now, I just want to elaborate because Greg wrote me back a very nice message. And he was not bullish on the idea that Mario and his sons go and do this. He wasn't bullish on that. He was being supportive of them doing that. He was proud. But he was not being the father that was making them. That's a big deal. It's a big deal, and that does change things. I did make an assumption there that, right? Get in there and get out there, son, and go. And I just share for you, it turns into a problem. I do not know of a name that I could give you. I worry about it with Bo Bassett. Bo Bassett has already demonstrated his ability to compete at that next level. So he does look like he's going to be an outlier. But I worry about it, right? Bo Bassett at 145 pounds or anybody at 145 pounds, you are one group stumbling into you and twisting your knee. You're one group that you're not looking at that falls into you and breaks your ankle. You're one pivot on the mat that you think is wet and slippery and it's dry and your knee stays here and your foot goes here, right? You are one ACL away from this dream coming to a screeching halt, particularly at that weight class. There are guys that come back from those injuries at other weight classes. There are not guys at 145 pounds, and there isn't a guy throughout history specifically at that size. So it's a very real concern that I have. I also believe, and I use the analogy of a gun, I believe you've only got so many bullets. You can keep having that thing and it can look great. It can look like the same gun and everything's the same. You're doing everything the same. Your mind's working the same. Your body's doing the same. It's the same thing, but all of a sudden it's out of bullets. And you don't get to load the clip. So you don't know how many bullets it's got. All you know is grab it, do the same thing. And all of a sudden, one day, nothing fires. So I don't love the idea, in Mario's case, of being... Mario's tremendous courage here. He did a tremendous job. 17 kids, he comes in fourth. Come on. He did a tremendous job, but I don't love the idea of Mario firing those bullets now. I know conceptually that harder is better, but I haven't actually seen it. I know conceptually iron sharpens iron, but the reality is go rub two iron knives on each other. Neither one of them will work by morning. They're completely dull. Iron sharpens iron is one of the factually not true statements that lives in sport. I see guys who put on the back of their shirts, iron sharpens iron. It does? Who told you that? Where did you get such a stupid belief? And you need three things to get better, okay? But you don't need more of one of them. You need all three. Somebody that can whip you. Somebody that can push you. And here's the key, and people miss this all the time. The third ingredient, somebody you can whip. If you're out there whipping a guy, you're beating a guy, it's 8-0. That's your closest match is an 8-point spread over the entire course of the season. You know what that means? It means you got a lot of takedowns. That's what it means. It means you got a lot of turns. That's what it means. It means you got reversals. You got escapes. That's what it means. It doesn't mean I'm so good I can't get any better. I don't have competition. That's not what it means. If you go and wrestle somebody that's equal to you, you got one takedown. You got two, but the other part of it is you only shot 3 or 4 to get those 2. You're not even going through the motions that are needed for to win an NCAA championship. You are much better off with the guy whose ass you can whip because you're changing elevation. You're sizing him up. You're stepping this way. You're pulling the arm. You're getting to the leg. You're pulling up. You're getting the shoe in the armpit. You're flagging it. You're tripping. I mean, you're doing the actual motions. If you're out there kicking a guy's ass, that is not a sign of I didn't get any better. You most definitely will get better and you will get the reps in. And this is what people miss. If you ever go to Olympic camp, it's the one thing you'll see at Olympic camp. Everybody gets to come. The Olympians have to be there, but then everybody can come. And the top schools, the Arizona States, the Iowas, Oklahoma State, like Iowa State, the top schools will send their guys. But when practice starts or it's time to wrestle live, the Olympian will pick a guy, and that's the only guy that gets to work out. Everybody else is to sit on the side while they go. That's what Olympic camp is. The Olympian will always pick, comparatively, a fish. Not most of the time, 100% of the time. Because now they can work their techniques. When practice gets over, if you look at it and go, okay, did I get pushed today? Did I get my ass kicked today or did I kick somebody else today? You're asking yourself the wrong questions. When practice gets over, how many shots did you shoot tonight? Well, I was in an awful hard group and I only shot 8 shots. All right, how many did you finish? I finished 2, boys. An awful hard group. Another night, it was an easy group. These guys were terrible. How many shots did you fire? Shoot, 38. How many did you finish? 36. Okay, that was the better practice. That was the more realistic wrestling practice, and that's the part that gets missed. If you're ever in a division, we used to have this. We've had a problem in this country. Brandon Slay is the one that put an end to this problem, but there was a pandemic, an epidemic in this country where if you were a dominant cadet, go wrestle in the juniors. If you were a dominant junior, hell, go enter the U.S. Open. Now, you're not going to win it. You're not going to make the team. You're not going to do anything notable, but you were there and you were the only one that was there and you could have whipped all these guys anyway. You've done it before and therefore that was the right thing to do. Brandon Slay's the one that came in and put a stop to it. He said, man, I need as strong of a cadet team as I can have. So if you're a cadet and you have cadet eligibility, I don't care if you can win the juniors. We'll discuss that next year when you're in the juniors. And Slay was right. He never got credit for it, and he did it somewhat quietly, and I don't know if a lot of people know that it's around, but it's a real encouragement by wrestling now. Just stay in your division. Man, if you can walk those hallways, you got the big, beautiful Letterman's jacket with all the bars and stripes, whatever those mean, and however if somebody determines it, go do it, because you can't do it for long. Go enjoy that time of being the guy. If you can go clean out everybody that ever steps to the mat to you, go do it, because you're not going to do it for long. And if you put yourself in those environments at the end of the season, I still ask you your record. You want to say 30-0 like everybody else? Or do you want to go, well, you know, it's 30-23, but let me explain why. I entered these college tournaments. Stop. I don't even know what you mean. I don't know the difference between cadet, junior. I don't know NAIA from NCAA Division I, Division II. I don't know any of those things. What was your record? How many takedowns did you get? Did you win the tournament or not? That's all that anybody's going to ask. So if you want the social status, go win the match. Within the rules. Win every match you can win when you can win them.